You believe your inaction is a personal failure, a defect in your character that renders you lesser than the titans of industry you idolize. This is the first lie, and it is the most dangerous one because it frames the problem as a moral failing rather than a biological reality. Your brain was never designed for greatness. It was designed for survival, and in the primitive calculus of evolution, survival equates to the conservation of energy. Every time you feel the heavy, suffocating blanket of laziness, you are merely experiencing the efficient functioning of an ancient operating system that fears the caloric expense of ambition. The biological saboteur within you screams that effort is danger, that change is death, and that the safest place in the universe is the stagnation of the present moment. To overcome this, you must stop treating your mind as a friend and start treating it as a hostile entity that must be subjugated. You are not fighting a habit. You are fighting millions of years of genetic coding that screams at you to stay still, stay small, and stay safe. The realization of this biological sabotage is not an excuse to surrender, but the intelligence required to launch a counterinsurgency against your own nervous system. Modern society has engineered a prison for your potential, built not of bars, but of cheap, instant gratification. Your dopamine receptors, the very machinery of motivation, have been hijacked by a cartel of algorithms designed to keep you sedated and docile. Laziness is often just a symptom of a reward system that has been flooded with unearned pleasure, rendering the slow burn of real achievement tasteless by comparison. When you scroll, when you consume, when you seek the comforting numbness of distraction, you are essentially chemically castrating your ambition. You must implement a ruthless detox, a scorched earth policy against the sources of cheap dopamine that clutter your mental landscape. Starve the brain of the easy hits, and suddenly the difficult work will begin to look appetizing, not because it is easy, but because it is the only source of sustenance left. You are reclaiming the chemical control panel of your mind, turning the dials down on consumption so you can turn the volume up on creation. This is not about willpower, it is about neurochemistry, and until you regulate the input, you will never control the output. Most people try to motivate themselves with visions of success, but the Machiavellian mind knows that fear is a far more potent fuel than hope. You must weaponize your own terror, constructing a mental architecture where the pain of inaction is infinitely greater than the pain of the work. Visualize the future version of yourself who failed, the one who stayed in bed, who took the easy route, who let the potential rot in the dark. Look at him with disgust. Look at the mediocrity that hangs off him like a diseased skin, and let that disgust drive you into a frenzy of activity. You must create artificial stakes, putting your reputation, your money, or your ego on the line, so that laziness becomes a direct threat to your survival. Comfort is the enemy of progress, so you must systematically dismantle your safety nets until the only way forward is through the fire. Torture yourself with the reality of your insignificance if you do not act. Let the existential dread be the whip that drives you. When the pain of staying the same outweighs the pain of change, you will move with the violence of a breaking dam. You are trapped in a loop of behavior because you are trapped in a loop of identity. You act lazy because you believe you are a lazy person. To break the chain, you must commit psychological suicide, killing the version of yourself that identifies with comfort and sloth. Adopt a new avatar, a construct of pure discipline, and wear this persona until it fuses with your flesh. The lazy you is a story you have told yourself so many times it feels like truth, but it is nothing more than ink on a page that can be burned. Speak of your old self in the past tense, as if they were a deceased acquaintance you no longer respect. This is the art of self-propaganda. You must brainwash yourself into believing you are a machine of productivity before the evidence even exists. When the identity shifts, the friction disappears, because a disciplined person does not struggle to work. They struggle when they are forced to rest. You are the architect, the builder, and the inhabitant of this new persona. Build it strong enough to withstand the tremors of your weak biological impulses. Laziness thrives in the gap between intention and action. Your goal is to close that gap until it is microscopically thin. You must engineer your environment so that doing the work is the path of least resistance and avoiding it is the logistical nightmare. If you want to write, the laptop must be open. If you want to train, the clothes must be laid out. You must preload the decision so your weak morning self has no choice. Remove the friction of starting, for that is where the resistance is strongest. Once the wheel is turning, momentum takes over. Conversely, you must add friction to your vices. Unplug the console, hide the junk food, put the phone in a time lock safe. Make your bad habits painful to access, forcing your brain to calculate that the effort of being lazy is too high a price to pay. You are the puppet master of your own reality, pulling the strings of your environment to make your own compliance inevitable. Physics dictates that a body in motion stays in motion. Your only job is to eliminate the drag coefficient of your life. Once the work begins, you must enter the void, that sacred space where time collapses and the self dissolves into the task. Deep work is not just a productivity tactic, it is a spiritual state of absolute conquest where the noise of the world is silenced. You cannot multitask your way to greatness. You must train your focus like a laser, burning through one objective at a time until it is obliterated. The flow state is the antithesis of laziness. It is a state of hyper-engagement where the brain is firing at maximum capacity, and it is addictive. To access this, you must ritualize your entry. Create a trigger, a sound, a smell, a lighting change that signals to your subconscious that playtime is over. Protect this state with violence. Let no notification, no person, and no wandering thought breach the walls of your concentration. In this state, you are not working, you are channeling, and the difficulty of the task becomes the very source of your pleasure. Laziness cannot survive in the high-pressure atmosphere of flow. It is crushed instantly by the gravity of your intent. Ultimately, you must realize that you are dying, and every second of hesitation is a theft from the limited time you have left. Laziness is a luxury for the immortal, and you, my friend, are rotting meat destined for the grave. What will you leave behind? A dent in the couch or a dent in the universe? The only way to cheat death is to build something that outlasts you, to convert your energy into a legacy that speaks when you are silent. Let the fear of being forgotten, of being a gray smudge in history, ignite a fire in your belly that no amount of comfort can extinguish. You are building a pyramid, stone by heavy stone, and there is no time to rest when the sun is setting on your existence. Rise not because you want to, but because the alternative is to vanish without a trace, and that is a fate worse than any labor. The chains are broken the moment you decide they are. Step out of the cage and claim your dominion.